This is Johnny with Tiger Bomb MMA, and tonight I'll be going over UFC Fight Night Strickland versus Cannonier, giving you my thoughts, predictions on the whole card. It's the last UFC card of the year. I'm going to have as much fun with this as fucking possible. Um, Maybe not with these glasses on because it looks like I'm about to suck some guy's dick. Like I've never done this before. Yet, yeah, whatever. Those are lure videos. Yeah, I like this card. I think there's some good value with a lot of the underdogs. Well, not a lot, but some of the underdogs on here. And I'm excited, right? Like I've been doing relatively good these last few cards, and gambling wise, I've been doing decent with NFL and with the World Cup. And I know nothing about either. I just get really fucking lucky, and it makes me feel really good. But yeah, let's break down this card. I'm not gonna have anything special, no gimmicks this time. It's just gonna be me. Fuck it, I'm gonna have fun with this one. But let's get started with the first fight of the night. We've got Sergey Morozov versus Journey Newsom. And what are the odds on these cunts? We have Morozov is a minus 240 comeback on Newsom is plus 200. And do I like the odds? Not particularly, because I do like Morozov here. And I think he's going to be a little bit more willing to grapple. I think Newsom's going to be more engaging with the striking. He's got a good calf kick. He's pretty quick. He's got decent grappling. I know he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. I just don't think he's going to have any sort of significant power to really hurt Sergey Morozov. That's really the way to beat the guy, is just to kind of pressure him. And really, pressure has been the key. Like his last two fights, pressure has been the key. Like he looked phenomenal against Douglas Silva de Andrade, so much so that I had like 3 or 4 parlays with him, and I felt fucking comfortable as shit knowing that he was going to win that fight because he dropped him, cut him up, and I'm like, this is fucking easy, like no problem at all. And then the second round comes, and this is no fault to Sergey Morozov. It was more so the determination from Silva de Andrade, where he's like, I'm not fucking losing today. And he put it on him, he pressured him, he hurt him. And if you hurt Morozov, you kind of make him not only tired, but you make him shoot bad shots, and that's where you can kind of take advantage of him. I will say in his last fight against Paiva, I appreciated the fact that he kind of got rocked a bit, and then he came back, recovered, went for takedowns. Not only that, he was actually looking really good on the feet against Paiva. And I think his striking is going to be a bit more polished here. Do I think he can knock out Journey Newsom? It's a possibility if he lands the right shot, maybe an uppercut, if Newsom goes in for a takedown himself. I just think that Morozov's going to take the easiest path to victory here, which is going to be the grappling, the wrestling. He's a great wrestler, great timing on that duck under double leg. Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable with Morozov at these odds. I am worried that Newsom just kind of goes buck wild and lands something goofy on him and makes him do the chicken dance. But I'm pretty confident in Morozov in this one, so I'll take Morozov by a decision. Journey Newsom's tough. I know he's been knocked out by that bum Costa, but Costa was pretty confident at that time, and I think he would have knocked out a lot of people if he hadn't lost. But I'll go with Morozov by a decision. And Newsom, we'll see. Give him someone down the line, but maybe that big chin fellow who won this past Saturday. By the way, I bet against him. I picked Jay Perrin mainly to survive one fucking round, and he couldn't even do that. I was a little butthurt about it. But moving on, we've got David Dvorak versus Manel Kape at flyweight. Currently, the odds have it at Kape minus 240 comeback on Dvorak. The Undertaker is plus 200. And I'm thinking, is there value on Dvorak? Yes and no. It's more so, are you comfortable with him winning the decision against a guy like Kape, who at any moment can just let the hands go? His hands are very fast, very good counter striker. Is Dvorak going to try to engage in the wrestling? I think Dvorak's best way to win this is by a decision, kind of outpointing Manel Kape, who is very known to kind of shit the bed a little bit by not throwing a lot of output. When he lets his hands go, he is fucking fast. And I know he's got alleged ground game, but we don't really see it because it's hard to take him down, really. He's very explosive. And it's also like not in his interest to take it to the ground. He wants to, keep it standing to knock you out. I like Kape in this one, but not to add him in any parlays. Maybe one where, I don't know. I just don't want to put too much stock in Kape. Dvorak, I think he might be very live if you're live betting by decision, because again, Dvorak will go forward. He will throw low calf kicks. He's not like the best flyweight in the roster. He's not a type of guy that can, say, for example, be in the top 10, or sorry, not the top 10, but the top 5. He is top 10 because I think he kind of lacks certain qualities. He's not the fastest guy. And, once you hit that top 5, they're fucking killers down there. And then he got his ass beat his last fight against the Nicolau character. And he got beat by getting countered quite often. And I think if Manel Kape is willing to engage, willing to counter, and not only that, kind of push forward a little bit, I think he's going to be able to knock out David Dvorak, who got cracked pretty hard. He's got a decent chin, but when you get hit by Kape, who is more of a speed, precision type of guy, I think he's going to make Dvorak do that same chicken dance he did against Nicolau. I'll say Kape round number 2 knockout, but I'm not entirely confident in it. And more so, I'm looking at that live betting odds for the Undertaker to potentially take it. Because again, if Manel Kape is playing that bullshit shit again, where he's just kind of laying on the outside, moving back and forth and not throwing enough, I think he's able to lose this fight, even though he might have clearly won it, if you know what I mean. Like, it's a very clear cut Manel Kape decision, but the judges in Vegas, who have been recently kind of goofy, might give it to the Undertaker. So I'll go with Manel Kape round number 2. Not confident. Next bout, very short notice bout at welterweight. We've got, thank God he changed his name, Brian the Butcher Battle. It used to be Pooh Bear. Not a good look. Versus Rinat Fahkretdinov. And this one, I was like looking at Brian Battle. I'm like, is he a decent enough dog here? He's what are his odds? They haven't listed him yet. Let's see. Don't tell me they haven't listed him yet. They ain't out yet. I'm assuming he's going to be an underdog. I don't know how big of an underdog, though. Let me check another place to see if they might have odds for this cunt. I mean cunt in the Australian endearing way, not in the, I hate you kind of way. I like the guy. Brian Battle. Oh, okay. Fahkretdinov minus 145, floating around the plus or minus 150. Brian Battle is plus 125. So to me, those odds aren't like enticing enough to bet him as a dog. Like, he's 8-0, fighting a guy who's 20-2. He's going to be wrestling the fuck out of Brian Battle. And going back watching tape, Brian Battle's best attribute is his cardio and his pace and his output. He throws a lot of output. Let me go check his actual output, his average. Like, strikes landed per minute, about 7.18. As for Fahkretdinov, he's about 3 strikes landed per minute. He's not a very active guy. He's more of like grappling. He's got big power. It's just more so, is it going to... God damn it, my internet went the fuck. Are you serious? All right, let's try that again because my internet went to shit. I've been having issues with the internet for like the last few months, and they don't know what the fucking problem is. But as I was saying, more output from Brian Battle. Fahkretdinov, more of a grappler, but when watching tape on Brian Battle, he kind of gave up takedowns a little easy. My biggest concern with this fight, if I were to bet, say, Fahkretdinov, is if he kind of gasses out come the third. Brian Battle's got really good cardio. I call him the mulatto Bisbing because he moves forward, doesn't have a whole ton of power. He's more of a kind of a grappler, right? Like, he can get submissions, more so because you're tired, and he takes your back, he chokes you out. His striking's not all that bad. Obviously, he knocked out Sato in his last fight, which a lot of people faded him, and I'm like, nah, man. He also likes Pepino lime, Pepino as I call it, the cucumber lime Gatorade, which is like one of my favorites. So it's like he's down with the raza. So I like Brian Battle a lot. I just don't think he's going to beat Rinat Fahkretdinov in this night. He is going to kind of put a pace that does worry me, though. He's going to put on a good pace, try to take him down, rinse and repeat. He might even finish Brian Battle, but Brian Battle's very relentless. It's only if Rinat Fahkretdinov gets tired that I'm going to be really worried come like the late second round and third round. But I do think that Fahkretdinov has enough experience and know how to defeat a guy like Brian Battle, who, again, if you watch tape on him, Trishan Gore kind of kept him down for a bit in their fight, and he sucks. And who was it? Gilbert Urbina took him down early, and then he gassed himself out. I think Rinat, who in his last fight, in his UFC debut, really gave me a lot of scares because when he was trading with Andreas Michailidis. Michailidis was able to reverse him and take his back. But when looking at the actual matchup between those two, Michailidis is a decent enough grappler that could have posed issues for Fahkretdinov. So I'm not too concerned about this one. Brian Battle, again, his takedown defense isn't the greatest, and I do think he's just going to ride it out, maybe get a submission along the way, but more so I'm more comfortable with the decision. I might add him on a parlay, kind of one that I'm not comfortable or I'm comfortable losing, but I'm not too. I don't know, man. There's too many question marks here. Is Fahkretdinov going to get tired and Fahkretdinov my parlay? So we'll see. But moving on, we've got lightweight bout between Maheshate versus Rafael Garcia, the Mexican guy. Odds are in favor of Garcia, minus 120. Comeback on Maheshate is plus 100. And with this particular matchup, a lot of people, at least on Tapology, have it that Maheshate is going to win this one, 68%. And I don't see it, right? He's got a good right hand. He's got good striking. But I think his takedown defense is absolute shit, right? When I see a guy like Mean Machine Steve Garcia take you down easily after him getting hurt, a guy like Rafa Garcia who's got decent enough cardio, he moves forward. He's a big, stocky, strong dude. He's going to take you down, rinse and repeat. And I think he's going to get Maheshate tired. I mean, he looked really good in his Contender Series fight where he kind of got teed off on, came back, and won that decision. I just don't think that he's going to be able to withstand the onslaught of Rafael Garcia or Rafa Garcia. And I think he's just going to rinse and repeat with the takedowns. If Garcia gets hurt, which I don't think I've ever really seen him get cracked that hard, I think he is just going to keep bum rushing for those takedowns, ducking under for the double legs. If Maheshate does land that right hand, which they call it like a piston of a right hand, it could hurt Garcia, but I expect him fully to go duck under, go for those legs, and eke out a decision. So I'm going to go with Garcia by a decision here. And, Maheshate will live to fight another day, and they'll give him another bum. Unless he's got like a knack for knocking out Mexican dudes, we'll see. But I think Garcia is the play here. I think he's got the more experience. He's fought much better competition. I mean, his last fight with Drakkar Klose was, some people say might have been close, but he was able to get him down. And to me, that's more impressive than knocking out an asshole like Steve Garcia, who left his chin wide open. There's a shot, of course, that he knocks him out. Plus 100 are the odds for Maheshate, but it's not worth it for me. So I'll go with Garcia by a decision. Next bout, we've got a really fun fight between two Russians, two Said Nurmagomedov versus Saidyokub Kakhramonov. And this one is essentially a dead pick'em at one point, but now I'm seeing it as a minus 120 Nurmagomedov. Come back on the cock is plus 100. And I will say, I think there's recency bias with this one up the ass. We saw Nurmagomedov look more human as of late, and we saw Kakhramonov look incredible in his last fight against Johnny Lawrence. And I think that plays a lot into the perception of this fight. Not so much because obviously Nurmagomedov is getting a little bit more money towards him, the minus 120. But to me, it is going to be close. It's going to be very interesting. If Kakhramonov obviously uses a grappling heavy game plan, there's a chance here that he could get Said down, win it just based off of top control, which I fucking hate that. But the way Kakhramonov has his top control, he does it the right way. He actually throws punches. He advances position. Like, he does enough to make it seem like he's winning this fight, which I think he's got a really good chance at doing so. I don't blame anyone taking a shot on Kakhramonov. To me, though, I think the difference in this is the way Ronnie Lawrence fought Kakhramonov was kind of playing into his hands. He wanted to get in close. And, Ronnie Lawrence is a little similar to Said Nurmagomedov, where they both spin. And that's where Nurmagomedov kind of got in trouble with Douglas Da Silva, Douglas Da Silva is still a phenomenal bantamweight. Like, you cannot count this guy out. So having a close fight with him, a guy who murgulated Sergey Morozov, it's no shame in that. And some of those takedowns that he got on Said Nurmagomedov were based off of either Nurmagomedov's feet were off center, like he kind of got his feet tangled in one. He threw a spinning back kick that kind of like caused him to fall over. His takedown defense wasn't terrible. He was able to get back up. I think Said's going to be too quick for Kakhramonov. Kakhramonov's been knocked out by a knee by a guy named Pipe Vargas back in the day, flying knee. I just think Nurmagomedov is just going to be too quick and crafty for Said to really get in close and get a takedown early to tire out Said. Said's gas tank isn't terrible. The guy's very dangerous. Saidyokub, I think he's smart enough to have a really good game plan here to be safe, not get hit with any kicks or anything flying, and get in close. But really, the difference, as I mentioned, the speed and the movement of Nurmagomedov. He's not going to make it easy for Kakhramonov to get in there and just get an easy takedown like Ronnie Lawrence did. And it's kind of like that. Like Ronnie Lawrence made Kakhramonov look really good because he was exhausted and he didn't really put up a lot of resistance. He was ragdolling the boy. I don't think he's going to be ragdolling Nurmagomedov. And I think it's going to really show how good Nurmagomedov really is, or how good or how bad Nurmagomedov is in this one. Because if he does get taken down easily, I'm like, holy shit, Kakhramonov is the real deal. But to me, I think, as I mentioned, that overwhelming movement from Nurmagomedov is going to be the biggest factor here. He's not going to give anything to Kakhramonov. He's probably not going to spin. I think he's going to learn his lesson from his last fight. Don't spin like a retard and don't give up your back. And I think he's going to do well here. I think he's going to knock him out. I think, not to say that I think he's going to knock him out. I think he's got a really good chance to knock him out in the first round. He catches Saidyokub with something flying. The biggest factor here is that he's going to be the taller guy. We're actually, no, they're the same fucking height. Holy shit. I didn't realize that. I thought he was a little taller. That 8 looked like a 10 to me. But yeah, I think the more dynamic guy is going to be Said. And I think he's going to be able to avoid, at least for the first round, if he doesn't get knocked out, or if he doesn't knock out Saidyokub, I think he's going to just be too quick, and he should do enough damage to maybe make Kakhramonov a little tentative. But we will see. I'm not entirely confident in it. That's just the way I saw it. I'm like, yeah, I think Kakhramonov, he's very good. It's just I did think that Ronnie Lawrence gave him a lot to work with in that fight. I don't think Said's going to be able to do that or allow himself to be in bad position. So I'll go with Nurmagomedov, round number 1 knockout. I just think he's going to surprise Nurmagomedov or Saidyokub with something. Next bout, middleweight bout, we've got, I just realized, Julian the Cuban Missile Crisis Marquez versus Duran. All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Duran Winn plus 135, comeback on Marquez is a minus 165. I fucking hate this fight because there's too many question marks here. Duran Winn, tough little sausage meatball. He's obviously 5'6". He's a tiny, tiny munchkin in the middleweight division. Good wrestling, though, and he showed his extreme toughness in his last fight with Phil Hawes, where he just took an absolute ass whooping. And there was a moment when I was rewatching that fight, and I'm like, oh my God, is he going to win? I'm like, oh, no, he lost that fight because he was swinging for the fences, and his takedown defense, even though he was exhausted, it was still solid. It's just you're not going to be able to take down a guy like Phil Hawes when he's on fire. Maybe if you damage his leg or fuck his wife, he might, whatever. But Marquez, what I'm worried about is obviously he trains out of Glory MMA and Fitness, which no longer exists. And he's in Vegas right now. He's in the Performance Institute. So I don't know how good his training camp's going to be. I've seen this guy give up takedowns easily to, what's that guy's name? The Coconut Bombs, Mackie Patolo. He's tough, right? He's got good submissions. He's a big, monster, beefy boy. There's a lot about Marquez. Like, I like the guy personally. He seems like a fun, cool guy, a little dorky. But his last fight where he got fucked up by Rodriguez, and I'll give him credit, like, he fought back. He did fight back. There was moments in that fight where he was like inches away from potentially knocking out Gregory. He was getting real close, but Gregory's just too quick and very straight. What I don't like about Marquez is that he kind of swings. If you ever watched tape on him, let me know if you did, where he kind of throws his punches almost like a bear claw because he's a bear man. He just like swipes, and I'm like, I don't like that. Also, when he got knocked out, like, I guess the fans on Twitter were giving him some shit, and he kind of took it personal. Stuff like that. I don't like seeing that in a fighter, just kind of bitching about, oh, the fan said this, the fan said that. Like, they're going to do that, of course. Not to the extremes of, like, telling him to kill himself, but knowing that the fans can get to his head kind of bothers me a little bit. Like, you got to be a little bit more tough. Like, for example, Duran Winn got his ass beat, and he posted a video of himself narrating the fight of him getting his ass beat and saying, like, what took the referee so long? Like, he took it very well. That's kind of the difference here. Like, I like Duran Winn. mainly because I think he can take down Julian Marquez if Marquez's takedown defense is not up to par. I really wish it would have been a wider line. It's close for a reason, right? Like if Marquez cannot get back up, I think he can, but eventually if he can't get back up, because Winn will wrestle the fuck out of him. And he does swing with those overhand rights. Not to say he's going to knock out Marquez. Marquez does have a solid chin. It just really, really bothers me that there's too many question marks behind this. So if this would have been like full James Krause camp, Julian Marquez, I think he would have been minus 200, and I would have picked him to win easily. Just the knees up the middle, the James Krause knee up the middle, which could play a factor here. I think Marquez is going to win, whether it be by knockout. I wouldn't scoff at the submission. He's got very good front chokes and chokes in general. Like if Winn goes in for a single leg, he kind of scoops up the neck and he just kind of chokes him out like that. It's a very good possibility. I will go with Marquez to win by submission round number 2. I think he eventually does scoop up the neck, maybe go for a ninja choke or just something, a 10-finger guillotine. I just think he's just going to overpower Winn. But if Winn starts to easily get these takedowns come round number 2, like I'm hoping at least Marquez has a good round number 1. The odds go ridiculous. I'm going to be looking at that Winn line because Winn, talk shit about him all you want. He's a munchkin in that middleweight division. He is a tough boy, tough fatty boy. So I'll go with Marquez round number 2, but I am looking at that Winn line. I am interested. Next bout, prelim at welterweight, Jake, the Celtic Kid Matthews versus, as Herb Dean put it, not the Herb Dean, but the other Herb Dean, Gold Standard. He put it, Kanye West's least favorite fighter, Matt Semi, the Jedi Semelsberger. One could say that Kanye West is very anti Semi, the Jedi. But with this particular fight, we've got Jake Matthews, who's 18-5, been with the UFC for a long time since he was a baby. He's only 28 years old versus the 30-year-old former footballer in Matt Semelsberger, who is 10-4. And the biggest things here are the reach advantage for Semelsberger, who I think his best shot to win this fight is by not only just hurting Jake, just rocking the shit out of him and possibly TKOing him. He's got a 75-inch reach compared to the 72 of Jake Matthews, who at this point, I've been saying it for a while now, even in his last fight, even though I picked against him, I'm like, hey, don't count him out. I think, what's his face? What the hell's his name? Fialho? Fialho's going to win, but don't count out Jake Matthews. And Jake Matthews, because he hadn't been in the cage for a while, he looked better than ever. He looked fast on the feet. He looked unafraid. It's almost like he did nothing but boxing in his time away because his ground game, like there was a certain point where he was just karate kicking dudes and then he wouldn't necessarily grapple. Then he would try grappling dudes and he got choked out by James Vick. And I think he kind of messed with him a little bit. He tried to be more of a striker. Then that changed and he tried to be more of a grappler, which was working for him. He grapple fucked the hell out of Emil Meek at one point, which was like, damn, I liked Meek and they got him out with that one. And ever since he got away, he got submitted by Sean Brady. He was just working on those hands, it looked like, and he's incredibly fast. And again, another bit of a recency bias because Matthew Semelsberger, he looked kind of shitty against Alex Morono, but it's really hard to look good against Morono. But what's funny is that I picked Semelsberger to knock out Morono eventually, right? Because Morono's known to kind of slow down and then eventually get knocked out, which is what happened against Ponzinibbio, which like I had a feeling that was going to happen. Morono's going to look good because he's so herky-jerky. I didn't expect him to really hurt Ponzinibbio the way he did, but the way he kind of swings those overhand rights, you just don't expect him. And that's what kind of happened to Semelsberger. He got rocked a bit, and then he, in the third round, went for the flying knee. Like, I'll give him credit. He even said on Twitter, like, I didn't look good that fight. I'm going to make sure I look better in this fight, which I do believe him. I just don't think it's going to be enough to beat Jake Matthews right now. Can he beat him? Yes, I do believe Semelsberger can catch him if he has been working on some stuff, and then maybe Jake Matthews comes in a bit overconfident. I don't think that's going to be the case. If Jake Matthews does get hurt, I think his wrestling is going to be incredibly important in this fight. I think you should wrestle. I don't want him to just kind of strike there. Like, again, just because you knocked out Andre Fialho, who, he is questionable with the chin, but his hands are really good. He can be a bit slow. I mean, Semelsberger's got a decent enough chin, and if he cracks you, I think he has more raw power than Fiallo. And if he hurts Jake Matthews, I'm going to be pissed as fuck if he doesn't go for a takedown. So I'll say Jake Matthews wins this one by a decision. I do expect Semelsberger to look good. I think he might even win a round, but I think Matthews is just going to be too quick for him, more well-rounded, and I just think he's just better right now. I expect him to get a big fight after this. I wouldn't mind, given the rankings, maybe possibly Jake Matthews versus Ponzinibbio would be really cool. And I think I know who I would pick in that one. But I'll go with Jake Matthews by a decision. Next bout, strawweight bout. So far, the first, I don't know if there's another female fight, but Cheyenne Vlismas, that whore, versus Corey McKenna, who, when I was looking at her Instagram, I was like, she's kind of cute when she's not, fighting. But the girl with the shortest reach in the UFC, Corey McKenna, is a 58.5-inch reach, training out of Team Alpha Male. Come back on Vlismas, the whore, is minus 180. And she's training out of Fortis MMA, 63-inch reach. She's more of a kicker. One thing I have noticed, right, I'm going to pick Vlismas because I don't want to spend too much time on this one because it is women's MMA, and I fucking hate these kind of lower-level ladies. Corey McKenna, I can at least trust her to go for takedowns. I don't know how good she's going to be at getting Vlismas down. Oh, God. I keep thinking about, her and Roman. I just, like, what a bitch. But we saw in her UFC debut against that Mons Rat Ruiz, that the head and arm choke, or not head and arm choke, but head and arm throw, the OP women's MMA move, was just too powerful for her. And just the old school headlock keeping her there, she was, I don't know, man. I don't want to put a lot of stock into that because, like, as much as I'm shitting on them, these are professional athletes. And I know she's been training better. She obviously broke up with JP and went to Fortis, and kind of similar to the way I spoke about Edmund Tsarukyan. God damn it. Edmund Shabazian. I'm all jumped up with these idiots. But with Edmund Shabazian, I thought to myself, like, he hasn't really been put in situations where he's been the nail. And I think he just needs some maturity in there, get his ass beat a little bit, put him in bad spots. He cannot be the only guy in the gym kind of beating up these bums and everyone's praising how he's the golden boy. But when he gets put in a fight where a guy's fighting back, he just doesn't know what to do because he hasn't been in that situation. And I saw a video with, Sean Strickland, who basically said, like, yeah, like I took this virgin pussy baby, Edmund, and I used my metaphorical dick to fuck him into a man. And I'm just like, it's exactly what the boy needed. And I think that's what Vlismas is getting at Fortis. I think she's training with better people. I think she's never going to make that same mistake again where she gets head and arm throwed, which I thought was funny because I'm looking at Corey McKenna's Instagram and she had been training that. So it's kind of funny that, like, not necessarily that she was training it, but she pulled it off in a video. And I'm like, maybe she's letting the public know that she's going to try doing that. But I think the way Vlismas has been fighting lately, kind of very aggressive, lots of movement, and her takedown defense has been holding up. I think she's going to not necessarily easily beat Corey McKenna. I think there's going to be a round that she might lose, maybe the first round, but I think the second and third, I think she's going to take over, and I think she wins the decision if she doesn't knock out Corey McKenna. Again, McKenna's arms are tiny. She was able to defeat Miranda Granger, which I took Granger to beat her because I thought she had enough. How can I explain it? I thought the value was good enough in a tall, lanky girl to maybe throw knees up the middle, which she was doing well in the first round. Then she got taken down and she couldn't get back up. And then she essentially choked herself out with the Von Flue choke. I don't think that's going to happen to Vlismas. Again, recency bias. I'm going to go with Vlismas by decision. But, live betting, Corey McKenna wouldn't be a bad idea if she gets easy. If you see a head and arm throw, max bet Corey McKenna. But I'll go with Vlismas. Next bout, main card opener. We've got Cody Brundage versus Mikhail Husar Oleksiejczuk. And odds are favorite Mikhail minus 275. Come back on Cody Brundage is 220, plus 220. A lot of people I've been seeing are on Cody Brundage as a possible underdog, and I kind of see it, but it doesn't make sense to me. We've got Maheshate fresh off of, I don't know, did they get rid of Sam Alvey? Who knows? But if he did, not only did he knock out Sam Alvey in front of his family, he was the only guy to be able to get him out of the UFC, and that's a dark, mean man right there. And the way he's been fighting lately, dropping down from 205 to middleweight, I just do not see a way that Cody Brundage can win this fight other than a possible fluke. What I do like from Mikhail Oleksiejczuk is that he moves forward, mostly punches, lots of pressure, attacks the body, rips uppercuts. He is aggressive as shit. He has been fighting bigger guys. He definitely has been working on his takedown defense ever since he got beaten by Jimmy the Brute Crute. He was able to hang with Dustin Jacoby. Even like Jacoby had to essentially, what's his name? Oh my god, he just fought Gordon guy, Paddy Pimblett and Gordon. I forgot his fucking name. He had to hold him up against the cage to beat him, and I think that's when he knew, like, yeah, these guys are too big. And he dropped down, and I think he's going to look fantastic. He was able to beat Shamil Gatsimov, whatever, Ratsimov. He got him out of the UFC, uppercutted him to shit. The thing about Brundage is that, yes, his striking has looked better. He knocked out a guy who, kind of sucks in Trayshawn Gore, whose chin is gone, didn't have any proper training, and then he survived Dalchalun Gambula. And then what I've noticed about his last two fights is that, credit to him, he won them, but with Dalcha kind of went in for a takedown, didn't know why he did that. And then he gets caught in a guillotine. So he essentially got the fight gifted to him. Trayshawn Gore is, he got taken down, he got back up, and then he started playing with his food, essentially, just not taking Cody Brundage seriously. He gets clipped right perfectly around the back of the ear, gets taken down, knocked out. So it's almost like, again, I don't want to take credit away from him, but if I'm being honest, it's hard for me not to say he's been getting really lucky with Spice Girls, bitch. Getting really lucky with these UFC wins, right? Like, he's beating guys that are, technically he should be beating these guys. Maybe not Dalcha, but Dalcha's not in the UFC anymore, I'm assuming. And then, as I mentioned, Mikhail, lots of pressure, good chin. I do worry that he does swing a little too wild, that maybe Cody could land a punch. I don't know how good Cody's, striking power is, because again, Trayshawn Gore kind of got clipped perfectly. And I really don't know how great Brundage's chin is, but I'm not worried about his chin. I'm more so looking forward to him getting his liver punched in, because I think Mikhail's going to attack the body perfectly, get him tired. Brundage kind of looked tired after grappling Trayshawn Gore for a bit. And I think Mikhail, with that pressure, attacking the body, not throwing many kicks, just being more experienced, overall better competition himself, I think he's primed to destroy Cody Brundage in the first two rounds, I say. I do think that if Brundage ducks under for a takedown, he's going to eat an uppercut or a knee to the body or a knee to the head. But more so, I'm looking forward to Mikhail just eating the liver and the body of Cody Brundage, and I think he's going to exhaust him. If he gets taken down, I think he gets back up eventually, and then he just starts putting the pressure on, attacking the body, and eventually just folding Cody Brundage. So I'll go with Mikhail, formerly Lord Oleksiejczuk, by second round TKO body shots. Maybe he knocks him out head punches, who knows? But I expect more so that, because Cody got his ass beat by Dalcha and he didn't go down with those punches, I think he's going to, Mikhail's going to focus on the body, which I think would be very smart. Next bout, probably the, what would this be? The people's main event. We got Drew the Doberman Dober versus Bobby King Green. And we've got Dober, the slight favorite, minus 165. Come back on Bobby Green as a plus 130. This one is going to be fantastic, right? It's going to be a stand-up war. It's going to go to a decision. I don't think either guy's going to be able to knock each other out. I think Drew Dober, obviously, his chin is made out of God knows what, whatever's stronger than the strongest metal, because this guy is, it's almost like he's cheating in there. Like, he's got the invincibility code. And then Bobby Green, he's got a different type of cheating. He he convinces the judges based off of his movement and his like it didn't land, that he's not getting hit when he actually is. I love Bobby Green. I love Drew Dober. I'm excited for this one. I do think either guy could win based off of what they both do well. Drew Dober, fantastic Muay Thai striker, super, super heavy leg kicks, excellent chin, as I mentioned before. He attacks everything well, throws high kicks. He's just a more well-rounded striker when it comes to his overall game. His hands aren't as good as his kicks. Bobby Green, on the other hand, he's more of obviously a boxer, right? He does the Philly roll, the Philly shell, keeps his hands down, very good with the straight punches. And I think he can actually hurt Drew Dober. The thing is, I do believe Drew Dober's chin is fantastic. But when it comes to like straight punches and punches you don't see, I think Bobby Green is very good at that. I think he can put on the pressure. They both have good cardio. Drew Dober training out of elevation in Colorado. It's just that like when you're getting punched in the face cleanly, repeatedly with the type of volume that Bobby Green can put on you, it could really sap you, and I can even see Drew Dober getting knocked out. Same thing for Bobby Green. If Bobby Green is kind of playing too much and Drew Dober just throws something looping wild, it cracks him, he can knock him out. I don't think that's going to happen. I think these two guys have the utmost respect for each other, and I think they're both going to come in here willing to like scrap it out in a war. I'm not going to touch this one just because like I'm going to sit back and enjoy the hell out of it because I really do believe either guy can win it. The way I see it, though, Drew Dober is probably going to win on the volume, the more impactful strikes. The thing I'm worried about is Bobby Green. Bobby Green, when he puts it on you, he sometimes doesn't miss. He's just so good with the jab. It just comes out from the hip. It's going to be a fantastic fight, and I think it's going to be so close that when you have your ticket and the guy you know won loses, you're going to be pissed, right? And yeah, man, I'm going to go with Dober with this one because I think with the recent judging controversies, they're going to make sure they got good judges there, hopefully, and they're going to base it more on like what's logical. With Bobby Green, it's not that he is illogical in there; it's just that sometimes he doesn't do enough. The way I'm going to see it is that it's going to be a bit similar to the Rafael Fiziev. Rafael, I keep calling him Rafael. He's not Brazilian. Rafael Fiziev versus Bobby Green, where a lot of kicks, a lot of volume. Bobby Green was landing, but not enough. Third round came, he won that one. I think it's going to be very similar here. And fuck, man, but I still think Bobby Green can win it. But again, I'm going to go based off of just more of the Muay Thai approach from Drew Dober, follow a similar game plan as Fiziev did, and I think he edges out a very close decision. I could even see it being a draw, man, because if Bobby Green in that third round just decides it's fucking go time and he just starts like bobbing and weaving and just landing perfectly, I do think he can drop Drew Dober and get a 10-8 round. I don't think he finishes them, but like Drew Dober, it's not like he's invincible, right? Like I've seen him drop before. Obviously, Bobby Green's been knocked out himself before as well. It's just so much fucking fun, and I'm really gonna enjoy this one. So I'll go with Dober, just sticking with the Nebraska boy. Damn, but Bobby Green's from the hood, and I'm from the hood. Um, I'll go with Dober just for the time being, man. Like, I'm not touching it, but I really like. Fuck, it's that good. I think if you're underestimating Bobby Green, he's going to disappoint you, man. He's going to ruin your tickets. So I'm staying away. I'm going with Dober decision. More so, might go the over 2.5 if am going to bet it because again, like I'm still worried about the judges because I've seen Bobby Green win decisions he should not have won. I've seen him lose decisions that he should have won. I think wrestling might come into a play here if one of them gets hurt. I mean, their takedown defense themselves isn't great. They both lost to Makhachev, one quicker than the other. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited for this one. Next bout, we've got Alex Caceras versus Julian Erosa, Juicy J versus Bruce Leroy. And the odds have it in favor of Erosa, minus 180. Come back on Caceras is a plus 155. This fig apple is really fucking good, but it is so bad for you. So many goddamn calories. So Alex Caceras with Julian Erosa, the reason why I'm picking him, why I'm picking him. I think Caceras doesn't really have this type of power to really put Julian in danger. I do think he can land something significant that could rock Julian. But even when he does get rocked, if you don't finish him, I know it's been said before, you better fucking just give up your back and let him choke you or knock you out or submit you because Julian Erosa just comes out like guns a-blazing. This dude, man, we say it every fucking time that like Julian Erosa fade city. Anytime anyone has power, just pick them. And that hasn't been the case. This guy has really been putting in the work, and he's just so much fun to watch, man. He's incredibly fun to watch. He comes out of nowhere sometimes and surprises you. Like I picked against him versus Hakeem Dawodu, and he surprised me. Like he fought smart enough to beat Dawodu. And Bruce Leroy, same thing with him. Like he's kind of fade city as well. He's 19-3, and you pick your spots with him, and he surprises you as well. Like he looked pretty decent against Sadiq Youssef. Like Sadiq didn't destroy him like I expected him to. He beat Sung Woo Choi, so he's got one up on Julian Erosa, but he's going to be more focused, I think, on the grappling because his jiu-jitsu has really gone leaps and bounds. Like watching him grapple outside of the UFC, he's like, God damn, these guys got real good. And the way he takes the back, spider monkey, racist or not, whatever, he's Hispanic, so probably not. Yeah, maybe a little bit, but the way he takes the back like a spider monkey is impressive. And Julian's got to be careful with that. Has Julian been choked out? I mean, if you consider him getting knocked out and choking on his tongue, maybe he's been choked out, but no. Let me double check. Nah, he's not been choked out. I mean, his jiu-jitsu is not terrible. I've not really seen him as of late, kind of defend, because usually when people are beating Julian Erosa, it's on the feet. So I don't think I've ever really seen him fight where he's gotten taken down and dominated, at least, with the most recent tape that I've seen on him. I think Juicy J, his volume, his output, his length, his funky style, I think it's going to be a little bit too much for Caceras. I don't think Caceras gets knocked out. Maybe he does, down the line, because himself, he's been knocked out a few times. He's been choked out himself. I just think that both these guys are pretty good, and I'm just not going to put a whole ton of stock in Juicy J because he should have beaten Steven Peterson fucking easily. Peterson is, no, he's tough and all, but no. But that's what I'm kind of worried about. I think Caceras is tough enough. He's smart enough. He's quick enough, crafty enough to make it a much closer fight. But I do think Erosa is just going to be too physical for him and either take him down, or she probably shouldn't even take him down. I just keep it on the feet and not point the boy. And I think he beats him by decision. So I'll go with Erosa by decision. But another fight that's kind of going under the radar. This is going to be really fun. It's got the possibility to be fight of the night, more so than the Drew Dober Bobby Green fight. So keep an eye on that one. Next bout, we've got Amir the Prince Albazi versus Alessandro Nono Costa. Costa is a plus 350 underdog versus Albazi minus 435. I will say this right now. I am not touching Albazi. I'm not parlaying him. I think he does win. I do 100% think he wins this one by being the much smarter fighter, more active, more pressure. But Alessandro Costa, he is deserved of the UFC contract. I know he got here on short notice. Who the fuck was Albazi going to fight? He's going to fight somebody. Let's take a look. I completely forgot. Albazi was supposed to fight. Oh, it was Brandon Royval, and Brandon broke his wrist. I just remembered that. And I would have really liked that one. I think I would have gone with the Royval with that one, just with his funkiness. And now they got Alessandro Costa here, who is, it says here 12-2, but he's actually 13-1. Dude, man, I went back and watched a lot of tape on this guy because I was like, who is this fucking dude? I don't remember anything about him. He fought in the Contender Series, and he did fight in the Contender Series in the first week of this year where Dana was fucking pissed because no one went for it. I thought he did go for it a little bit. It's just more so the guy he was fighting, what's his name, Luna. He kind of, he was playing that length game, and Costa, when he let it go, he tried to knock him out. He actually dropped him in the second round, and he did win that one. I think it was a split, but the fight I am mentioning, he fought some dude in the Combate America, and some Mexican dude in Mexico. What was his fucking name? Ivan Hernandez Flores. And if you want to talk about fucking robberies and bullshit judging, go back and rewatch this fight. It's on YouTube. It is Costa versus Flores, and I will explain to you round by round. Round number one, Costa looks fantastic. He gets a takedown. He goes for multiple armbar submissions, and these are tight armbars, right? They are to the point where you have to physically do something or else your arm's going to get broken. Ivan showed toughness. He got out of them, and he gets put back in a fucking armbar. He has to defend that, and it was just fucking crazy. Like this Costa character is just relentless on the ground, going for transitions to the triangle. I mean, the guy Flores is defending decently, but it's like he's losing this fight mostly because he is just surviving. And when you're surviving, that means you're in danger. In danger means you're losing the fight. It could have been a 10-8 had it not been for Costa kind of getting tired, Hernandez being super fucking tough, surviving those rounds, and he comes back. And then the last few like moments of the round, like I think the last minute or so, he does rock Costa because Costa was a bit tired from like going for all those submissions. And it was a close round, but like no doubt about it, like it's to the point where like you had to survive having your fucking arm broken. You rocking a dude isn't gonna win you the round. It was clearly Costa's round. The round number two, Flores' takedown defense looked good. I think Costa was still a little bit tired. On the feet, it was like, oh, Costa's losing. Costa was coming back a bit, but it wasn't enough for him to win the round. So it was 1-1 going into the third. The third round, Costa takes this fucking guy down and is just kind of having his way with him, controlling him. At the very end, he has him in a triangle choke where had he made proper adjustments, he probably could have choked him out, but he didn't. But he definitely won that one, just doing way more active on the ground, more submission attempts, and it was a split decision. And we've got 29-28 Costa, 29-28 Flores, and then 30-27 Flores. I was like, what a fucking joke, man. That was a robbery. Like when people say Doug Crosby and stuff, Doug Crosby sucks, don't get me wrong, but at least he's like oddly consistent by giving the rounds to people who are controlling, which I fucking hate. He gave that 50-45 to Sabatello, and that is disgusting, right? He's getting investigated for that. But with that Patty fight, he did give round number 3 to Jared Gordon. There you go. I forgot his name earlier. Probably for the best. This fucking asshole. But yeah, he gave it to Jared Gordon, which, at least he's consistent in his shitty judging. But yeah, this guy is the Mexican Doug Crosby because he gave a 30-27 to a guy who got fucking nearly finished in the first and the third round. And it was fucking disgusting. It was awful. Go back and rewatch it. But again, this guy is very, very good. He's very sneaky. He's got a lot of power. He knocked out a guy in the Lux fighting in his last fight, knocked him out in like 12 seconds. He's got tremendous power. I think he can win this fight. I think he's got a good shot at possibly knocking out Albazi or making it so close because I don't know how. Fuck, Albazi's good. He's got good pressure, good striking. He can strike with fucking Ismagulov, and I just think he's really smart. Fuck, I don't like the guy, but I gotta give him his props. He's a good, smart fighter, good pressure, good, decent cardio. I know he gets a little tired, but when it comes to this fight with Costa, it's just like I'm not comfortable putting large, heavy chalk on Albazi to beat a guy who's so fucking dangerous that if he dinks him, he'll sink him. You know what I mean? So with Costa, I'm willing to take a shot on him, just like fingers crossed. Maybe he knocks him out. Maybe he submits him because this guy on the ground, he's not like a Malcolm Gordon that he's just going to be like, oh, you got me on the ground. Please choke me, daddy. And he's not like Figueiredo's brother who, fucking can't stuff a takedown. It's going to be a fun fight. I think if you put a lot of stock on Albazi, you're not going to be happy with this one because you might get into some scary moments. But when I say I think Albazi is going to be the smarter, more intelligent fighter here, I think Costa, he's got the power, but he kind of swings wild and he's not precise with a lot of his striking. And I don't know if he's going to be able to take down Costa or Albazi because I think Albazi is going to have the more pressure. When it comes to this, I think he's going to be willing to go to the ground with Costa because Albazi's top game is pretty solid. Like he knows how to avoid the submissions. The biggest factor though is that if he makes a mistake, I think Costa will take his arm because Costa's a very explosive guy. And being that it's a short notice fight, I don't know how good his cardio is going to be, Costa that is. So I am worried that say if Costa's looking good the first 2 rounds, the third round might come and he gives up his back and he gets choked out by Albazi. Costa is a black belt. I think Albazi's a purple belt still, but he's a very solid purple belt. He's choking out these black belts. Yeah, I'm going to go with Costa by decision, but for the love of God, Ooh, fuck. I think Costa's got a really good chance to win at plus 350. It's not even like a by finish. I think just taking him straight, not getting too greedy. I think the Mexican fighting out of, or the Brazilian fighting out of Mexico's got a really, really good shot to beat Albazi and put a fucking stamp on the division like, hey, I'm here. So I'll go with Albazi just because it should be logical that he fights smart and just puts pressure on Costa and eventually gets the win by a decision. But again, Costa's incredibly dangerous, and I really liked what I saw from him to the point that I do think that if you put him in there with, say, a full camp against a guy like maybe, I'll say it, Kaikar France, or a guy like, fuck, I know he would destroy the Figueiredo, like the bigger Figueiredo. But I'm saying like a guy like maybe Altamirano, like he's going to look fantastic. Shit, I'll even say he might even beat Brandon Royval. That's how good the tape I saw on him was, at least for me. Maybe I'm skeptical or something, but I liked what I saw. Next bout, we've got co-main event Arman Tsarukyan versus Damir Ismagulov. Ismagulov plus one. Ismagulov sounds like almost like a vampire. Like Ismagulov. Minus or plus 145 for Ismagulov. Damn, both these guys have fucking nicknames I'm not going to be able to pronounce. Arman Tsarukyan minus 170. The Armenian versus the Kazakhstani. We've got the 26-year-old versus the 31-year-old. Reach advantage, Ismagulov. 74 for Ismagulov, 72.5 for Tsarukyan. I've been trying to get over Saruk is on fire for a while, and it's not been catching on. But yeah, Ismagulov is the taller fighter, 5'10", 5'7" for Tsarukyan. To put it simply, I know I've been on Twitter and I've seen Ismagulov, like a lot of tickets on Ismagulov, and it makes me feel good because like I was gonna pick Ismagulov regardless. I'm just saying that because like I have to, because I'm not going to sit here like I never went online and checked anyone else's opinions. It's just more of a validation that like I think Ismagulov is a very live dog here. He's the favorite dog because he's got the wrestling, he's got the striking, he's a smart fighter. And I think Arman Tsarukyan, although he's very good, this is like probably the toughest matchup for him. Being that it's a 3-round fight with the level of wrestling that Damir Ismagulov has, the striking ability that he has, I think it's just more favorable for Damir to win this one. Ismagulov, again, he's got very sharp striking, very pretty jab, just cleaner overall. Tsarukyan's going to have the kicks because those kicks were very, very crucial in his fight against Gamrot. And I'll say this, I thought Gamrot lost that one. There's one, I didn't go back and rewatch it. I didn't have to. I have it memorized, but I was so fucking pissed when Tsarukyan lost and he's like on the ground, like, how did this happen? Like, how did I lose? You know, takedowns and knockdowns don't really count anymore. But the opposite, actually, for Damir. Damir really got lucky in his last fight against Kutateladze, where I think they stood them up, and then Ismagulov, something happened. Something happened where they took position away or something, and then Ismagulov took down Kutateladze and then ended up winning the fight barely. That was a really close fight. But Damir, he looked good. Like he had a sketchy moment in there. I think his eye got buggy, but he showed perseverance and he was able to come back and win that fight, whether controversial or not. With this one, as I mentioned, I think it's going to be really close. And taking a shot on a guy who is, to me, more proven, 24-1 against Tsarukyan, who unfortunately lost his last fight via weird circumstances. I think he's going to lose this one. I think it's going to be very, very close. Once the takedowns get negated, Tsarukyan is going to go for kicks. And from what we saw against Gamrot, like if you take Tsarukyan down, yeah, the scrambles are going to be great, but I think Ismagulov could more consistently get those takedowns on Tsarukyan and win based off of that. Just strike into the takedowns, into the clinch, maybe get a trip on Tsarukyan, and just, although he's not going to hold him down, at least not at early, I think he's just going to have more visual output than Tsarukyan. Tsarukyan might have like maybe larger strikes, like loud sounding kicks, but I think Ismagulov will have more substance. But with that, again, it's going to be close because of how judges judge shit. And like the way I judge fights, it's always I don't like control time. I fucking hate control time. You have to do something with it. It's kind of like you it's kind of, to me, when I say control time is meaningless, like you're just holding a dude against the cage, like a Jared Gordon and Paddy Pimblett. If you're doing that and not striking, it's not necessarily what I consider a dominant position. It's just kind of like a 50-50. So if you say go into the clinch, land knees, hit the body, that to me is significant. When I say like control time is meaningless to me, it's kind of like when you are feinting a punch. You can feint all you fucking want, but if you're not throwing a punch, it's not shit. So with this one, if there's like lots of control time from either side, and that's all there is, like a lot of clinching, it's going to be really fucking close. And the coin flip, I'd rather be in the dog odds. So I'll go with Damir Ismagulov for those reasons. I just think he is, at this very moment, going to be a little too much for Arman, but Arman definitely can rise to the occasion. Right, he might be super fucking pissed from that last fight, but again, like Damir Ismagulov is very, very good. He's just not that household name. Uh, he's number 11. I think he should be ranked definitely higher. And I really think Damir probably would have beaten Gamrot that night. I just think there's some issues with Gamrot that I've seen which is funny because when I brought up the fight against Gamrot and Beneil, it happened exactly like I said it was going to happen. That Gamrot is a very good wrestler. He's got very good power in that right hand, but he doesn't mix it well. He doesn't mix his punches into his takedowns or his takedowns with punches, and that's where his downfall was. And the fact that Damir can mix those things up, and Arman had issues with Gamrot despite him just kind of shooting and not really setting up his punches or his takedowns properly. I think Damir's going to be able to do that and just kind of surprise Arman. I think Arman can be a little bit too overconfident. I spent too much time on this one. Damir Ismagulov by a decision. Next bout, we've got main event here. Sean, I guess no nickname now, Tarzan. That's kind of funny. Tarzan versus Killer Gorilla. Sean Strickland versus Jared Cannonier. Sean Strickland is minus 120. Comeback on Cannonier is a plus 100. Are the odds any different anywhere else? Let's see here. I'm just curious to see if there might be like a pick'em out there for these guys. Yeah, kind of like minus 115, minus 105, still leaning on the Strickland side. And with this one, I have seen a lot of takes on who wins this fight. Like, oh, Sean Strickland is underrated because, like, yeah, he got knocked out by the champion Alex Pereira. That doesn't mean shit. Like, the guy has great output, great defense, great boxing. If he uses his fucking grappling, he's got great grappling. Jared Cannonier, on the other hand, what I've heard from him is that like his leg kicks are going to be good. He's got more power. He's just more savage than it. I guess that does sound racist, but he's just more aggressive than Sean Strickland. And at plus money, he's worth a shot. The leg kicks are going to come into play. If you want my take on this one, after kind of thinking about it for a bit, I really do think Sean Strickland is the rightful favorite. I think he's going to win this fight. The dude is, actively training with killers. He's always in the gym. Dude showers with an AK-47. I really like Strickland. I have a bit of a, lean towards him because he's so fucking funny. But I really do think that he's being underestimated here. I think the odds should be a little bit higher in his favor because he's, they've both been 5 rounds, but I think Sean Strickland's been 5 rounds more often. He knows how to win these 5-round fights. Yes, the leg kicks are going to be there, but I think he's going to be smart this time. I know there's been talks about him wrestling. I think he's going to come in here, despite, him saying he's a pussy if he wrestles. I think he is going to not necessarily go and die for the legs, but he's going to clinch up Jared Cannonier a little bit. He's going to throw more output. He's defensively sound, right? He's got good defense. It's just that when you get knocked out by Alex Pereira, it does make you look like a bit of a fucking pussy scrub. But what people don't seem to get, I have not seen this yet, but Jared Cannonier is nowhere near the level of striker that Alex Pereira is. Alex Pereira is just so fucking high level. The way he sets up that left hook, like even going back and watching like the clip of him and Glover talking about how he set it up, like he was just kind of teasing him, jabbing the body, not necessarily throwing the left hook. And then when he threw it so fast that Strickland didn't see it coming. It's like, damn, that was intense. Jared Cannonier, if he swings, he's going to kind of swing a little bit loopy, a little bit too wild, a little telegraphed. Yes, the leg kicks are going to be a huge factor here, but Sean Strickland, he's smart enough. He's smart enough that if he gets hit with too many leg kicks, he's comfortable switching stances. I think at that point he will engage the grappling, because I think the part of him that gets hit with those leg kicks and he's like, "Oh, don't grapple, you're a pussy." Eventually, he's going to be like, "I'd rather be a pussy than a loser," and then he'll go grapple. And I think at that point he's just going to be too much for Jared Cannonier. In the later rounds, definitely, I think Cannonier will slow down. He has slowed down before, especially if you grapple him. And he's definitely getting older. Obviously, he's 38 years old. If he's 5'11", he's going to have the reach disadvantage by half. And wait, oh shit, he's going to have a reach and a half inch advantage over Sean Strickland. But I do think Sean Strickland's going to be a little bit more defensively sound here. He will definitely check the leg kicks, because other than Cannonier's like power, the leg kicks are the main weapon. And with that main weapon, Sean Strickland's not an idiot. He's gonna check him, or he's gonna do what he can to avoid him. And I do think that there's a possibility that Sean Strickland knocks out Jared Cannonier in the later rounds. And the way I see this one is that I kind of completely forgot about the Uriah Hall fight. Uriah Hall was another scary guy, big power that can catch Strickland off guard, and Strickland just completely like outpaced him and exhausted him. And he did grapple him at that point. And he could have finished him, but I don't know what it is. He just chose not to. So with this one, I will go with Strickland. I will go by a decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does finish him later in those rounds. Can Jared catch Sean Strickland? Maybe, but I really don't think he's got the technique to catch Strickland flush. It's just, again, I think Strickland was maybe a little too scared against Pereira, and it kind of caught him off guard. But again, Pereira's just leaps and fucking bounds above a lot of these strikers. Obviously, Izzy, because he finished Izzy. That left hook is goddamn dangerous. So I'll go with Sean Strickland to win this one by a decision. I like Strickland a lot in this one because, again, like I think he's just going to have too many weapons. It's mainly, though, if Strickland chooses to be a not bitch, he can lose this fight. He's got to be a little bitch, just maybe a 20% bitch, and we'll forgive him for it. And as long as we get this W, he's gonna maybe he could get a fight with Izzy if Izzy takes too long and they match up Alex with somebody else. And I'm hoping to God, deep down, that say the next fight with and I've said this before in the Discord, but if Glover doesn't make it to the fight with Jamal Hill in Brazil, they're like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" And then Pereira comes in here and he's like, "I'll fucking do it. Why not?" I've got the blessing of it's kind of like a Rocky situation where Apollo Creed is like, "Oh, get him for me." And then he goes and he knocks him out. Oh, that'd be awesome. And he becomes double champ, and then he like that'd be hilarious, man. If Alex Pereira becomes double champ when Izzy couldn't, that is the dream for that main event. Because yeah, he would probably knock the fuck out of Jamal Hill. Come on now, let's be honest here. I would hope. But yeah, those are my predictions for UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Strickland. As for possible bets on this one, I'll have to be a little bit more careful because as of late, if you've been listening to me talk about fights for a while, you might know already, I don't bet specifically to become rich. I bet for fun. And I don't track my bets because I bet a little too like sporadic. Like I do lots of live betting. I'll make a lot of dumb mistakes after I've made some money. Luckily, like I'll give you an example. This last card, I lost a lot of parlays, but I didn't necessarily lose all my money. I actually made like 4 units. The problem is that I had a lot of bets that were like, let's find out, right? Like I bet Perrin. I had one where Perrin was supposed to survive for a round and he didn't, and that one didn't cash for that particular reason. I bet one with Buckley in it that was actually would have cashed had Buckley not been a moron and got knocked out, going for a stupid kick. Stuff like that. And then some other parlays that were mostly like this fight will go at least a round, at least a round, at least a round, at least 3 rounds. That one cashed. And then I had my money in my online account, my Bovada. And then I decide, fuck it. It is the 4th round in the main event title fight. I'm going to put it all on Magomed. And then the scorecards got read. And then I was like, oh, fuck, all right. I get my money back. But stuff like that. Like I like live betting and I like going fucking balls to the wall, whether I lose everything or I make some money. So because of that, I don't necessarily like keep track of my bets because I'm not a very good gambler. I'm more of like I'm swinging for the fucking fences with these because I like to have fun. But let's take a look. We've got Manel Cape. If we're gonna set up like a full parlay, I've got Cop, Garcia. I'm skipping Duran Winn. I'm going Jake Matthews. I'm going Morozov. I will add Nurmagomedov on this one. I'll take Oleksiejczuk. I will take Sean Strickland. I will take, well, the over is not available on the Drew Dober fight. I'll take Demir Ismagulov. And that's an 8-person parlay. If I were to do that one, which I probably will, let's do $10. $10 gets me $518. So I might do that just kind of like the big balls one. Like, let's see how right I am with my predictions, because that's like, I want to test my my testicular fortitude, which, by the way, if you follow the Discord, I will start calling this guy, because I don't know his name. He changes his name all the time, but the Vegas Goat Nurse, or Goat Vegas Nurse. He's from Vegas. He's a nurse, and he's the GOAT. He had a parlay where he was killing it. He could have cashed out, and he chose to ride it out despite being able to cash out a $17 bet to like maybe a couple $700-800, nearly $1,000, I'm assuming. And he rode it out, and then Patty Pimlet won, and it fucked him over. But goddamn, the balls in that boy. That is one of my parlays that I will do. If I'm being like more concise, I'm going to take Demir Ismagulov straight, depending on what the line is at the time. I will take Oleksiejczuk and Morozov probably in a parlay. And then from there, I might start building if I want to take Garcia, maybe by a decision or just over, and kind of go from there, really. Cop, I'm too afraid he's going to shit the bed. Probably take the over on the Strickland fight if it's like over 2.5, and that's decent. Probably over 3.5 is what I will take. I think he can. I don't think he's going to get knocked out, and I don't think he'll knock out Jared Cannonier. He's got pillow fists. Sean, that is. So Oleksiejczuk, let's go with him, and let's go with Jake Matthews, and who was it else that I brought up? If I'm doing like a 3-person Morozov, where'd he go? So those 3 is plus 159. And I like that parlay if I'm doing a 3. If I had to take someone off, I will take off Jake Matthews, because I think he's got more of a chance to lose. So those 2 is a minus 115. That's probably going to be my base where I'm going to put most of my money on, and we'll go from there. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you like, subscribe, all that shit. I'm going to try to be a little bit different in the coming year, because getting lazier, and I'm going to start looking for a new job because I want more money. And hopefully with that new job, I have more time to like dick around on the internet. I'm going to start doing next year, possibly, if the UFC doesn't take my fucking videos down, scoring of controversial fights. If you actually want to know my thoughts as a professional judge, technically, because I haven't done a ton of fights that I've judged, but I've judged, like, I guess, a handful of professional fights and more so amateur bouts, and combined like maybe 70 fights in total. If you want to know my thoughts on like the judging and shit, I can tell you what I think on that. Basically, judging's fucked, and but it's not fucked at the same time. It's hard to explain. Let me know. Leave a comment. Gladly make a video if you want me to discuss specific judging. But yeah, this is the last time of this year breaking down fights. Johnny from Tiger Bomb MMA, and for the last time this year, fucking Oberg, you stupid cunt. Could not finish the chinniest guy in the division, and you cost me a 10-unit fucking play, you dirty bastard. But I love you, though. You're so handsome. Have a good night.